Hi, everybody. I'm journalist Leigh Cuen here today with an amazing panel. We're going to talk about gender equity in crypto, specifically related to small businesses. Thanks so much for joining. If you're following on Twitter, please use the hashtag WOC blockchain to follow along with the conversation. And I'm really, really excited. I figured we'd start off with each panelist saying their name, their job title, and just in 2 sentences what they do. Emma, do you think you could start us off?
Sure, thank you. My name is Emma Todd. I'm the CEO of Mint Blockchain Group. Been in the space full time since 2016, and my company provides consultancy, crypto mining, communication, and events for blockchain companies.
Wow. Fulvia, how about you?
Yeah, of course. I'm a product manager at ZeroX Labs. We build decentralized exchange technology from protocol to developer tools, APIs, and consumer-facing products. And I'm also an angel investor through Frico. We are a group of operators investing in early-stage companies in crypto across the world.
Cool. And Lindsay, wrap us up with that?
Absolutely. My name is Lindsay Nuon, and I am the founder and CEO of Women of Color in Blockchain. It is a nonprofit focused on building community and providing resources to the large number of extremely amazing women in the blockchain space, in addition to being the founder and CEO of EmpirEqual, which is a people analytics platform that leverages intel in your workspace to provide a more equitable workplace for everyone, especially people of color and underrepresented minorities.
Yeah, so we have such a wide range of expertise here. We've got mining and marketing, we've got product management and investing, we have like business management and growth. Maybe, Lindsay, you could start us off by offering maybe some advice to entrepreneurs who might be watching. Some of the challenges I hear a lot from small businesses are that they can't afford recruiting programs and that there aren't a lot of women of color applying to the positions at blockchain companies. What are some free or affordable ways that you recommend they diversify their hiring process?
That's a great question. I think that some of the most effective ways that I've seen is by leveraging people in your network or extended network who really connect with your mission. And as an entrepreneur in the space, we know that that is one of the most important muscles to build, right? Understanding your connection to the actual problem set and figuring out the people or the organizations that also share that same passion or mission. I think that natural symmetry across organizations creates a safety net, and whether it's hiring, whether it's referrals, you start to get, an exponential effect of growing the right sort of talent and organization around you because there are common and shared goals and values involved.
Gotcha. So maybe if someone, say, went to a particular university or is part of a club, asking people in those networks if they happen to know any women of color who might be qualified or interested in those kinds of roles, and going out from there, from people you know to people you don't know.
Absolutely. I'd say, again, starting with the people closest to your mission and your particular circle, whether that's, you mentioned it, university networks, professional networks like Women of Color in Blockchain, Women of Color policy network, but making sure, again, this is something that cannot be forgotten, that you nurture and grow those relationships consistently. This is not something that you can go to an organization, check a box, and be done with. You really have to think about fostering an environment that is conducive to retaining these people and attracting them, being the sort of organization that they want to come to.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Fulvia, what are your thoughts for people who might be looking for jobs, specifically in the pandemic when it's pretty challenging as we're all from home? What do you recommend for women that are looking to get their first jobs in the blockchain space?
Yeah, definitely what Lindsay mentioned resonates. But I also think that one of the great things about crypto is that it is a global industry with a global community of builders. And as a result, most of the companies in the space and even the larger ones are either remote friendly or remote first. So to me, this is like a really key piece to the industry, because it means that, if you want to work for a great crypto company or join a crypto team, you don't have to sacrifice anymore, like being whatever you want to be, because that is not necessarily the case anymore. And I think this happened, or is happening, in the larger tech ecosystem. But for crypto specifically, I think that has been true even pre-pandemic. So I think that's great. The other thing I would say for crypto specifically is that this is a nascent industry, and I think that like there's a world of opportunities here. And while it's true that you can leverage your networks, and you can leverage I don't know, like your community, etc., it's also really relatively easy compared to like other industries to just like make your way into the industry, right? Like there's a lot of activity in crypto Twitter. You can just do your research, pick a few teams that you're interested in or that you believe in their mission or are aligned with. You can start contributing to them from the get-go. You don't need like necessarily to know anyone in those teams. I didn't know anyone at 0x Labs when I first joined. I mean, I knew about the project and I was following them closely, but I didn't personally know anyone in the company. So I think it's a whole world of opportunity. So if someone out there listening to this um, panel, like I would recommend, like just dive into it, start engaging with their community of a team or a project that you're interested in, start finding ways of contributing it. It could be through writing, or just like engaging with their communities on Discord, Telegram, or wherever there are. But yeah, I think the opportunities are here, and I think it's a great time to like jump right away into this industry.
Gotcha. So you were saying you didn't know anyone before you got that position, but maybe you had already developed a little bit of a profile on either like GitHub or Twitter or other places that the community already was and engaged, and that was a way that helped you, even though you didn't have a direct connection.
Yeah, and to be fully transparent, I've been in crypto since 2013 when I found the Bitcoin white paper. So I didn't really work full time in the industry. I joined crypto full time until 2017 when I joined Bitso, which is the largest crypto exchange in Latam. And at the time, DeFi wasn't really like a thing, but I had a strong conviction that decentralized exchange was the future. So in 2019, when the opportunity presented to me to join 0x, I decided to make that move. So in full transparency, like I had previous experience already, and I've been following the space very closely for quite a bit. But like what I see on my investment side of things, where I work with like really small teams and teams that are just like very early stages, is that a lot of them haven't even had previous experience working in crypto. Like this is their first time joining the space full time. So yeah, taking note from that is kind of like what I'm saying here. Like crypto is a very fertile ground, very nascent industry. So there's a lot of opportunity for someone that wants to make a break. Obviously, having networks and knowing people always helps, but I don't think that's the rule in this industry.
So, I mean, what you point out there, though, speaks to also what Lindsay said, which was to engage with people that are passionate about the same things that you are. So you had been engaged in the space, maybe not specifically working for that company or knowing anyone from that company, but you had been engaged with this topic and with these issues for a long time, and that had really helped you. So I hear that as kind of complementary in a way.
Yeah, for sure.
Gotcha. So, okay, we're on the same page with thinking about things that you're passionate about and really focusing on those networks and growing those relationships. But Emma, there are so many people that are really passionate about crypto that maybe not even intentionally shady, but just not well thought out projects. When you're thinking about marketing and also in your consulting business, how do you figure out which crypto projects to work with? How do you decide on which clients are the best way to invest your time?
Yeah, that's a good question. When you first start out, you're just trying to get your name out there, and then you take anything, and then you realize quite quickly, wow, I can't take anything. And I've had, some times I've had to fire clients saying I really can't work with you. I apologize. But, these things happen, and here's why X, Y, Z, and you need to fix this, and then maybe we can talk in the future. So I will tell you guys, my favorite person in the crypto industry is my compliance person or my lawyer. I always say they keep me out of jail. So if somebody wants me to work with them, um, very rarely do I take anything that isn't, I haven't been introduced to them by somebody else. So there has to be that referral system. And I still check them out, and I find out what their project is. And then what I'll do is I'll have a meeting with my compliance person. I am not kidding. I have a meeting with my compliance person. I say, this is what's happening. Is there anything that you know that I should know about this? And sometimes they'll say, okay, no, that's fine, or you should be aware of this or XYZ. Um, and I cannot begin to tell you guys how important it is to make sure that you check out who these people are. Do your Google search, hire a company. And when I say Google search, I'm not saying page 1. I'm saying go all the way to page 7. Make sure you know everything there is to know about somebody that you can find. Ask people for referrals. Find out who they've worked with, things like that. I cannot stress that enough. And that's why I really, really appreciate my lawyer and my compliance person, because they tell me things that I might not necessarily have known.
Gotcha. So I'm hearing is due diligence
Yeah.
is not just for buying assets; it's also about developing your own company and deciding which people to work with.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
always say that the most important thing that you can do, the most important thing you have is your name. You can lose your money, you can lose your company, but people will remember who you are. So you really want to make sure that you try to do the right thing when you can. And when you can, like all the time, but make sure that you have a good awareness of what it is that you're getting into. And so really, you really want to make sure that you do everything that you can. And so yeah, check everybody.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So the next question that comes to mind for me then is what advice do we have for people that are just getting started, with an idea? Maybe they're not looking for a job and they're not looking to hire, they're looking to create a project or to start a business. It's different kinds of businesses require all different kinds of things. Sometimes it's better to bootstrap, sometimes it's better to get venture capital. Maybe let's start with Lindsay and then work around if anyone else has any thoughts. What advice do you have for women, specifically women of color, who are looking to start a company in the blockchain space?
The two things that I would say is the first piece of advice is really know thyself, right? That extends to your company. Know the stage that is most appropriate for you to be reaching out and connecting people. Know the industry extremely well. Know the laws and regulations in that space. And then really have a firm conviction in that, because the crypto industry is sometimes, even though it's nascent, more challenging than the space that is more traditional and already well established and well understood. You may find yourself in territory where there is no playbook for what you're trying to do, and having the innate ability to tap into questions and people who can really help you surface the things that are going to be most timely and important to keep you moving forward and keep you afloat is absolutely critical. I think that knowing how to navigate those challenges so that you can garner the support you need, whether that's VC capital, right? Whether that's a connection to a developer or something of that nature. You really have to be nimble as, as a startup founder, as an early startup, employee, and really realize that everyone's role, I say this in my company a lot, everyone's role is a chief solutions officer. I don't care what your title is on paper, but our job is to come up with solutions, in any way we can to move this mission forward. And I think that's the advice that I would give.
Yeah, what I'm really hearing from your answer is this idea of curiosity and questions before coming to someone and asking for money or asking them to do things, really understanding who they are, and where you are, like what you fit into that. So coming to people with questions as opposed to demands is like the big thing that I
Absolutely.
came away with from your answer.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
You can't jump into Andreessen's or Y Combinator still trying to figure it out. That's draws back to the know thyself portion of this. I think a lot of people that I ran into very early in this industry felt like they could just sprinkle crypto or sprinkle blockchain in their white paper, and then boom, money would fall from the sky. And that is not the way this industry can or does work. Things have progressed, and there are markers of maturity that you should be aware of as you and your company progress with it.
Gotcha. And so you bring up a really good name. And most of the companies that I talk to, they're always wanting to be like, we're going to be the next unicorn. We're going to be the next billion-dollar venture. But small businesses are such a vital part of the economy. And Fulvia, I'm curious to hear from you. What do you think is the role that small businesses play that maybe are aspiring certainly to have a good business, but not aspiring to be the next big billion-dollar unicorn, instead planning to focus on a particular user group or issue and to really narrow that focus as opposed to broadening? What role do you think that those companies play in the broader ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, I think that small businesses and early tech startups today are the heart of what's happening in crypto, right? Again, there's a few, or I guess a growing number of like really well-established companies that are becoming, almost unicorns or unicorns already. But most of the teams that I get to work with, whether it is at my role as at Xerox Labs and our users, as well as through the investing side, it seems that are 3 5 people, but that doesn't stop them from building products already being used by thousands of people or managing millions of dollars in assets. So of course we see the projects that have been around since the early 2010s, and that have been building their businesses for a decade or so. But the reality on the ground is that the majority of the teams are still very small, scrappy teams building incredible technology, and trying to push the industry forward. Lindsay may mention something that's been really interesting to watch evolve. Back in 2017, ICOs were all the rage, and there were like money raining from the skies on every team with 2 or 3 pages of written text, what we know as a white paper. But I like thankfully that has evolved, and as the industry has matured, like more is expected from these small teams. But at the end of the day, they're still the heart of the industry. They're still like the developers, the builders are the ones pushing this industry forward. And I think we will continue to see a lot of that, given the diversity of things that these teams are working on, and that it's still very early in the tech.
Gotcha. So small business is very important too. And I'm curious to hear from you, Emma. What do you think that people who are watching this can do, like actionable steps or ideas that they can utilize if they want to support small businesses in this space? What are the best ways for them to do that?
That's an interesting question. So I would say, look at it what is it you want to achieve, and then I'm a big proponent of crypto Twitter. I love it, love it, love it. You get so much information from there. It's a little like sometimes drinking water from a fire hose, but that's where everyone is. And it really is a community. It might be a crazy community, but it's a community, right? And if you just put that question out there, people will answer you, people will let you know. People are very, very helpful. And that's one of the things I really love about the community. And that's why I've stayed so long in blockchain, because they are so helpful. And, you can ask questions and they won't say, oh, you should know this by now or whatever like that. They'll answer your questions and they'll give you feedback. It might not necessarily be the feedback you want, so know what you're getting, but, you will get feedback. And I really do appreciate it. So, and they'll say to you, if you want someone big, here's where you go. And if you want someone small, here's where you go. And because everyone's really supportive of the community, they're generally going to give you somebody who's like 3 or 4 names that are really good, that are small businesses that you can definitely support.
Gotcha.
You can also ask me.
Yeah, exactly. So finding people that you can trust and developing relationships with them, or even just a following with them, and also being engaged in various communities, whether it's on Clubhouse or on Twitter or on Reddit, where you can go for information, is what I'm hearing is a really good way to find the smaller companies that are specific to a passion or a need.
Yeah, definitely. And they can always reach me on Twitter at CryptoEmmaT. I'll help you if I can't. If I don't have the answer, I will find someone who will, and I have a pretty big network. So yeah, you can get the answer.
Cool. Lindsay, I'm wondering, is there anything you'd like to add for that in terms of what people can do to support small businesses in the crypto space?
Oh yeah, I think that one of the biggest things that they can do is ask, listen, and be authentic in their willingness to help. Right? Ask the entrepreneurs that you're speaking with what it is that they're struggling with at that time, because sometimes people are less forthcoming with the struggles that they're going through, or the needs that they might have, because people are so busy faking it to make it, right? People always want to put their best foot forward. But again, knowing how to, meet them where they're at and see how you can plug in and really amplify what they're doing. Sometimes that's as simple as retweeting. As Emma said, our connectedness on digital platforms is completely, at historic levels, whether you're talking about Telegram or Signal or, Clubhouse now. I think knowing where you can go to amplify people's message, to ask the right questions, and to give them the resources they need, if that's funding, the crowdsourced platforms, or what vehicles that you can leverage to channel them funds. I think really understanding that and asking where you can meet them to best support is the best way to help.
So I have a
I
follow-up
have
to
a
that.
question for you. I have a quick one. Lindsay, sorry, so sorry. Lindsay, Fulvia, do you find that the space now is noisier than it was in 2018, or it's quieter? I find it's quieter.
It is quieter.
What do you guys think? It is quieter. Okay.
I think we've learned to filter out the noise, maybe a little bit. Because I think it's also quieter from when comparing like how much people outside the space or new to the space are talking about it on social media. I think the people that have been here for a while are still as talkative as ever, but I also think that you might not realize this, but I think you might have learned to like filter out the noise a little bit.
Maybe that's it.
There's a very
Continually,
interesting.
sorry about that. I was really curious.
There's a very interesting phenomenon. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Leigh, but I was like, there's a very interesting phenomena that has gone on, where you saw the big, boom because of the ICOs and everybody rushing to the space, and then people started to trickle out, and it was like this big wave of people leaving because either they found it too challenging, they couldn't get the money that they needed, they couldn't really make the connections that they needed to build the tech that was required. Because let's be completely honest about the technical aspects of blockchain. It is a very complex system, right? You're not just talking about skills that every single developer has. So that ups the barrier to entry. And so once you saw that sort of drain out, I think the people who are left, even though it is slightly quieter, the quality bar has gone up quite a bit. And so the people who you can connect with, Emma, Fola, Cleve, myself, any of the other women of color in the networks, or allies, right, who are active, will give you quality answers, and they're quality professionals.
Yeah, 100%. I 100% agree with that.
I'm really glad to hear that for you guys it feels a lot quieter and slightly more sane, considering how much we're spending online this time, this bull run.
Yeah.
It is. I do have to moderate how much time I spend online, though. I've got too much work to kind of, because I find that when I get on Twitter, I need to give myself a good hour, because it's a rabbit hole. You get down there and you can't get out sometimes. So,
I
really
don't know
have
if
to
you
moderate
feel
it.
similar way, but to me, it's always I'm always asking people, like, I feel like crypto Twitter is you either are paying attention to what's going on there or you do your work. And I don't know how people that are like super active on crypto Twitter like make it. I don't know, like how do you balance that?
I don't know.
Ditto.
I don't know.
It is a full-time job in and of itself if you let it be.
It is.
Okay, so limiting time on Twitter can be one way to help stay sane, staying in touch with it, but not obsessed with it all the time. As we wrap things up for today, are there any other thoughts I would like, if each of you have, in terms of how you stay relatively sane and productive despite the crazy pandemic? Limiting time on Twitter is a good one. Is there anything else in general that you recommend, Emma?
For me, I go outside. I make sure that, it sounds weird. Sometimes just going for a walk and clearing your head and listening to a podcast or something like that, it kind of keeps the things in perspective. I'm a bit of a workaholic, so I always kind of want to spend, all the time at my computer. And I actually found that when I went for walks, suddenly I'm thinking about all these great ideas, or I'm hearing them on podcasts. So it's good to get a good perspective, connect with friends. Gosh, we all hate COVID right now, but um, there are things that you can do to survive it. So just go for your walks. For me, I connect with my friends, and I try to stay sane that way.
Gotcha. Fulvia or Lindsay, is there anything that either of you wanted to add as well in terms of how you stay relatively productive and sane?
To me, it has
Sure.
been exercise. Like
Gotcha.
exercising 15, 30 minutes a day has kept me sane. Going for a walk, running, swimming, whatever it's available. In where I am at the moment, like that's been my biggest thing.
Yeah,
And
I'd
Lindsay?
add to that. I would really just, plus one those comments and say, focusing on your health and well-being and understanding that, your body is also a machine that needs maintenance and care,
Yeah.
and you can't drive it until it breaks down and expect good results in your company. It's just really paying attention to what feeds you, whether that's meditation, swimming, or things like that, or just being with your family and friends. I find whatever it is that allows you to take a step back and really unplug helps you return to the problem in your work with more vigor.
Yeah, for
Awesome.
sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, you guys, for joining us today. I feel like I learned a lot.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
thank
I
you,
did
everyone.
too. I did too. This is great.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm gonna be following up with all of you. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
following up with all of you.
it's so good to connect.
This
And
is
for everyone
lovely.
who's following online, the hashtag once again is WOC Blockchain, Women of Color Blockchain. I'm looking forward to all the other panels as well. And thank you so much, everybody. This was really a welcome relief from time at home.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, for
nice.
sure.
Likewise,
Thank you so much,
it has
Leigh.
been a pleasure, ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Fulvia. It was great. Thank you. I
Yeah,
really
it was
appreciated
great
this.
connecting with all of
Thank you,
you.
Clef. Yeah.